for us to take back our communities and create unity. Community vibes with BrownEyes. Come take a walk with me. Community vibes with BrownEyes. Hit it, King T, finesse. We hit the streets running. You know we coming. Building with knowledge to inform, to bring the love in. It's the unity in our community. Reform, move on to be strong. It takes you and me. Bring the issues, let's talk about it. Make a plan, bring it to life and never doubt it. To inspire, keep you going higher. Words put to action, fuel to the fire. Life gets better when we do it together. BrownEyes, King T, finesse, time to get up. Get up. For everyone, the best. Hit it, King T, finesse. Join in and catch the vibe. Yeah. Welcome to another episode of Community Vibes with BrownEyes. We got another great show for you today. And today we're going to be talking about Here We Go. You know, how our hair affects us socially and mentally. But before we go into that, I got some great guests on the show I want to introduce to y'all from Megalodon Locs Beauty in Newark, New Jersey. We got Zee and we got Lee. Give them a round of applause, people. Yeah. Glad to have you guys here. Do a great service for us in the community. You know, I get my locks done from there, but we'll talk about that a little later. But first, I want to tell you what Community Vibes is all about. Community Vibes with BrownEyes is a project that was designated to reach into the depths of the community to shine light on those who are often overlooked. People like leaders, activists, you know, musicians, artists, nonprofit organizations, business owners, you know, and young people just like you and me, who decided to take their talents and their skills and to go out in the community and create a resource or a service that is beneficial to all in the community. So that's what we're all about. And it's not only our desire that we shed light on these things, but we also talk about some of the great things that are being done in our community, because too many times we hear about all of the negative things, but we don't hear enough positive. And that's what this show is about. Community Vibes, vibing with the community and bringing some of that positive light of all the good things that we know that we have going on, or some things we don't know, to enlighten you. But today we're going to be talking about hair and the history of black hair. You know, black hair has a long history of negativity and a stigma on it that we have dealt with for years. And it makes me feel good today to see that so many of us have overcome that, and we are now reverting back to our natural hair, loving our hair and loving ourselves. And we all have a story, I'm sure. But before we get into it and I introduce you to these wonderful people here in the natural hair business, I want to show you a video to kick off this show. Let's watch this video.
Afro hair has systematically been associated with negative stereotypes that undermine blackness, such as nappy, unprofessional, and unkept.
What's happened that's so terrible? A catastrophe.
Look what happened to my hair. Normally it's straight. I was just walking down the hall when poof, my whole head of hair puffed up just like that.
That's a nappy-headed horse there, I'm going to tell you that now. Man, that's some... Ooh.
I think she has such a tiny frame that this hair to me overwhelms her. Like, I feel like she smells like patchouli oil.
I do remember being at work, and I was about in my middle 20s, I think. And it was a black woman who said, oh, you know, Sue, you're a really attractive woman, you know. And I think that if you didn't have these dreadlocks, you'd look even better. So, you know, if you cut it and perm it, yeah, you know, I would present well. That was shocking.
A lot of people were like, why are you wearing your hair like that? And I was like bullied by the kids for that reason.
The dolls that I had growing up had straight hair, and little black girls on TV had straight hair. I internalized those subliminal messages because I didn't see myself the way that I wanted to.
I had no idea that people had so many strong opinions about my hair. You know, I'd be walking down the street and somebody say something and it'd be derogatory, and I'm just like, well, why are you so concerned about what I have and how I rock my hair?
In middle school, I started wearing it out, and then I felt like it was too poofy and big, So I started chemically altering it.
Not every black woman who relaxes her hair or wears weave is trying to fit a white standard, please. But I know that myself specifically, my hair was relaxed because I wanted to feel whiter, because I wanted to feel more accepted.
I wrestled with my hair a lot, and like I melted it all off by dyeing my hair, so I was really like insecure about it. I loved the Fugees and I loved Lauryn Hill, and that was the first woman I had seen with locks, and I thought, whoa, she looks so beautiful.
I feel like my hair is a true expression of my personality now.
Transitioning into like really becoming in love with all of me, and that included the texture of my hair.
I mean, honestly, this goes back to the beginning. Beauty is not the thing I think about all the time. I will think about how I dress because people will make comments about it. And I was raised to know that you enter a space the way you want to be perceived. And there are certain constructs that I adhere to, but most of them I don't care about. I ran for governor as a sturdy woman with natural hair, a gap between my teeth, and
even though that wasn't what people expected, did you find out that actually that's what more of us wanted?
And I think that's part of it. To your point about whether those of us who are heterosexual need men to validate us or whomever, I don't care about that. And it's taken a while, but my confidence in my capacity is what I care about. My question to myself when I had people who'd known me for years, who had supported my ambitions for years, who said, well, you can't do this. You can't be the first because of what you look like. Who said, well, are you gonna get your hair permed? I'm like, I haven't had a perm since 1995, no. But more than that, I like who I am. And because I like who I am, and because I knew I was the best person for the job, I wasn't gonna wait until Weight Watchers or Jenny Craig turned me into the after picture. I wasn't going to Invisalign myself out of looking like my mother, but I'm not trying to fit anyone else's image because there has not been what I am. Therefore, I'm going to be what I am.
Here we go. Let's talk about how hair affects us mentally and physically today on Community Vibes with BrownEyes. That's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Myself, I have my own story, and one day I will tell it, in more detail. But, I had my own, thing with my hair being a lighter skinned black person, and people had the expectation lighter skin, curlier, softer, longer, straighter hair. And I never had that because I'm an African woman, But anyway, I want to talk to you a little bit more about you and your experience growing up and where you grew up at and what brought you into the interest of your own natural hair.
Well, I'm originally from New York City.
New York City, that's
yes.
my city.
I've always had locks since I was a young child.
Mm-hmm.
I actually was the only person in my classes that had locks when I was younger.
Wow.
So I used to get teased a lot for it. I used to feel like out of place, like I didn't fit in or I didn't belong because all the other girls or just little kids around me had barrettes and beads and braids and perms, curly hair and stuff like that. So
right.
I just felt like super, and then I used to get teased for it, so I felt super insecure about it when I was younger to the point where it made me actually comb them out.
I could imagine.
And after I combed them out, my hair started to fall out from me trying to braid it, perm it, dye it, bleach it, trying to do all sorts of stuff with it every single day. And in return, that actually made me feel like even more insecure now because I don't have any natural hair. Like I had it at one point,
right, and
now like it's gone entirely.
Right.
So it definitely was. It was life changing because I went to a salon and I asked her to like do a short pixie cut in the back just to kind of switch it up a little bit.
Right.
But the lady didn't understand what I said.
Right.
And she cut like the whole like middle of my locks off. She cut the middle of my locks off. And
what? Oh my goodness.
At that point I was just like, okay, well, I can't remember how old I was. I think I was like maybe 11. Mm-hmm. But at that point I'm like what am I gonna do? Like the whole middle of my head is gone. So she had to shave the rest of my hair off.
Right.
Actually, I think I was older than that. I think I was about 15 because I was in high school. Because I remember me having to go to school the next day with no hair on my head when everybody was used to me like having hair.
And that was hard.
And it was extremely, it wasn't difficult. I mean, honestly, the first day that my hair got cut off, I did go to school the next day with a wig. But that day I was just like, I'm not doing this every day. Like,
right.
I don't know. Y'all don't have to see me like this and just deal with it and embrace it because I sure enough am.
Right. Well, that speaks to, you know, what we're talking about today. I mean, like, hair can affect you socially as well as mentally in a lot of different ways. I'm talking about young people. Like you said, you always had locks growing up, you know, and people, you know, teased you. Same thing like me when I was younger. You know, I used to have my hair braided up all the time, but for some reason, people always thought that my hair was this curly or softer type of hair. And I remember when I used to go places to get my hair done, they would wash my hair, and my hair would shrink up really tight because I have the real tight coil type of hair, you know. And a young girl looked at me and she said, "What happened to your hair?" Like something was wrong with my hair because it shrunk up so tight into this little afro when water hit it. You know, and I always felt embarrassed about that as a young person and didn't want people to see me when I got my hair washed. I mean, for years, when I washed my hair, it was a private thing. I didn't want to go to the beauty salon because I didn't want people to see this hair come in certain length, and then once they hit the water, hit it, shrink, I come out looking like Florida Evans, you know, from Good Times. You know, that's the way I felt, you know. And it was bad that I was ashamed of my hair because I didn't understand my hair, because the stigma of that type of hair has been so negative, you know, over the years. So when you got your hair shaved off and you decided that you didn't want to wear a wig, you know, like, what did you do, you know?
Oh, I went to school the next, and the funny thing is, I was the attendance person, so I had to go to all the classes and collect the attendance. So like the whole school was like familiar with me. Right. But the next day when I came in like with no hair on my head, everybody was just like, "Oh my God, like what happened? Where's your hair?" But they didn't treat me bad, so.
Right.
It made it easier.
Well, I remember even with the young men back in school. I don't know. I'm from New York. If both of you guys from New York?
No, I'm from Newark.
Oh, you from Newark. But y'all experienced the same thing. I remember the young boys when they would come to school. You know, parents saw, you know, hair with the boys too. They would shave it down real low because they didn't want the high, you know, hair, kinky hair to be a distraction for teachers and other people in the environment. And they would slap the boys in the back of their neck when they got these low haircuts because their neck was exposed.
Not even that. It was like more so if you had dreads, 9 times out of 10 you was prone to getting probably pointed out for something or picked. So
picked on?
No, not picked on by like kids in school.
No, the staff.
It was like the police. It was more it was. I'm speaking from my perspective. From like not my childhood. Yeah. But it was a lot of like guys who grew up who have dreads, and sometimes they might get pointed for something something that they didn't even do, or they may have not even been in the area. So it was more so the stigma it carried with it. Then was like more criminal. So that was the reason why my parents wouldn't even allow me to have dreads. So.
Right. Well, there was a lot of different stigmas on natural black hair, you know, and one thing with dreads, reason why they call them dreads, you know, I read in a story about, you know, the Rastafarian life where those dreads were called dreads because it was a rebellion. You know, with hair, and that's how powerful hair is that it has been used in our culture for many different reasons throughout time.
It's significant. I mean, people use it as like symbolism or like to some show of their strength or their struggle, or maybe they are rebelling against something. So
and spiritual too. People
that's more so
they're here for spiritual. No, that's okay. You okay?
That's more so where all them negative stigmas come from. Because it was like stereotype. That's really where it come from, because anybody who really had dreads in their hair, it was like most of they was rebelling or going against the cause, the popular vote or whatever.
Yes, absolutely. And so what made you decide to start doing hair? When did you start deciding that you wanted to actually do natural hairstyles?
That's actually a good question.
That's an amazing question.
Well, give me an amazing answer.
Right. So
Well, I know she used to always mention the story of when she had got her head shaved off. So
right.
I know she always kind of was like, I wanted to get my dreads back, or either just being around or doing it.
Right.
So it's just always been something that she spoke about, but maybe she probably didn't really put too much in it. But it was during COVID-19.
You want me to explain
Tell
like
me
how
a little bit
it got
about that.
started?
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about that.
All right. So truthfully,
Yes.
I'm gonna word this as best as I can.
Please don't worry about it. Everything is right.
Yeah,
So-
because it was like 1,000 more projects before this. Like it was,
Right.
man,
Yeah,
I did so
so-
many different things of.
Right. But how did you get to the hair? That's
Okay.
what we want to talk about.
I was going to get my hair done in New York City by somebody.
Right.
And when I got to her house, she started doing my hair, but she also started talking to me like about her business and
Right.
like how, like what's going on and how well it's doing and how much I could make a year and stuff. So as she was talking, I'm just like, wait, I could make how much a year? Not like that, but I'm like, wait, because at that point it was COVID. I'm like, I don't got a job. I got 2 kids.
Right.
I need to keep my house. I need to feed myself. Like, you know, I got stuff that I need to take care of. Like, I like to take care of myself.
Right.
Like, support is always amazing, but everybody needs to be able to take care of themselves.
Right.
So I was just like, okay, I need to take care of myself and support the rest of my house. So she was talking to me, and I'm like, okay, let me see if I know how to do this. Let me try. Let me see if I know how to make locks.
So you started doing.
I started
locks in
making
the
the
house.
locks
Oh,
in
you
the
started
house.
making them.
Yeah, I started making the lock extensions in the house.
Right.
And then I think after I made my first set, and I realized like, okay, this looks good. Like this looks like I could sell this. Like this
Right.
looked like something that she would have made.
Right.
I was like, okay, let me put it on Facebook. So I put it on Facebook Marketplace, and people started buying the lock extensions.
Right.
Then I started putting it on Etsy, and then people started buying them on Etsy. And then people started asking me, are you in New Jersey? Can you install them in my hair? So
Right.
I'm like, well, if I know how to make them, then I should definitely be able to install it
them.
in your hair. So I remember the first girl I installed it in, her name was Aisha. And I installed it in her hair, and it stayed in. It lasted. Nothing fell out. I was like, okay.
Okay. Test run. Good test
All right.
run.
I think we got this. I think I could do this.
Right.
It wasn't easy. I'm not going to say that it was like a dream. My dream is definitely happening right now, because I definitely knew I wanted to be a business owner.
A business owner, but you
just didn't know
it.
what.
Right.
And on top of her following every lead, because it was one point in time, had fabric all throughout the house, and she was sewing dresses then. So it was like a bunch of things like kind of pieced itself together.
To kind of form.
And thankfully, you know, her driving.
Right.
With me trying to kind of get motivated, like, why not
Right.
try it? Only way it's not going to work is if you don't put it into effect.
Well, I like what you did, and I like what you're saying, and the reason why, for those of you who are listening out there, that's very important, because you don't get into your success sometimes by your dreams. You taught me
passions.
that when I spoke to you that prior to this. Your passion doesn't necessarily lead you into success sometimes, because, as you said, you didn't plan this. You just tried something out because you saw a way to, you know, start a business, and it wasn't necessarily that because you like doing hair or making, you know, these locks, but it started working out for you, and you began to delve more into it and grow it.
Yes.
You know, and that's very important, because there might be somebody out there today that is doing something that is not really what they chose to do, but is, you know, you got to stick to that, because you never know what avenue is going to take you on to get to a place where you are going to enjoy what you do. You know, and one thing I could tell you,
I enjoy it today. I enjoy it every day
see,
now.
you enjoy it today, and I know
Yeah.
she enjoyed it, because you see these locks right here. She started mine. They're looking beautiful. Shout out to Megalodon. You know, I keep on saying Megalodon. Shout out to Megalodon. You know, the owners here, and I like it because you guys decided that together. You saw her venturing on with her fabric. You know, going to inquire about, you know, this hair, and then she started creating things and got her first hairstyle, you know, done, and it worked out well, and it kept going until you perfected your craft.
Yes.
You know, and that's a beautiful thing about locks, you know. And one thing about it is that you still have to have a skill, because in your shop, I'm gonna tell you, everybody that, since I've been going there, it's like artwork. with hair. And we all know that artwork in black hair has been a historical thing for many things, including during slavery times when they want to do maps in their hair to find their way to freedom, show them the path. They would braid it into their hair or put rice in the braids so they could eat, and while they're running they could have rice and different things in their hair. And then hair was used also to send a message in terms of what tribe you belong to. If you were single looking for, a husband, if you were married, or, some people shaved it off out of humility, or for spiritual things,
You can even use it for like meditative technique. You may be just sitting somewhere stranded. They used to just sit there and twist their hair. Just keep twisting and twisting from the roots.
And twisting and twisting. And there's so many, even on the walls of Egypt, I got some pictures of hair, of some of the patterns and some of the historic sightings of what black hair was, in a time ago. Styles that we have created out of those, and, the locks, and they locking their hair with the red mud and different tribal, beads and styles to show different messages and different strengths about the tribe and the people of that tribe. So I really, really, really like, to connect the historic history of our hair to what we see today, because now people are like braiding hearts in people's hair. They're doing cuts, cuts in people's hair with pictures, and people are so talented with black hair, and I admire it and love it now in my older age. Unlike in my younger age in the 70s, like it wasn't popular like that. People like, why don't you get a perm and smooth it out and look cuter if you get curls? But in my older age, I am so happy that I didn't use the perms and stuff so bad to destroy my hair. That bad, because I did destroy my hair, but enough that I could be at this age and still be able to lock up and have some decent hair to be proud of what grows out of my scalp that's mine. I don't have to worry about putting anything in it. And I'm not knocking if somebody does put, chemicals in their hair, but as you can see, we got to be very careful with that. Because one thing I did research is what hair is. Some people don't even know what hair is. It's a protein that comes out of your scalp through follicles that's attached inside of your skull to a bulb that's attached to, vessels and veins that gives it nutrient, to make it grow, those cells to grow out of that follicle into the surface of your hair to make hair. And that's why when we're sick or we're not getting enough nutrients to feed it, it won't grow.
I was just about to say, I don't know what it is, but it's like your hair, the condition and state of your hair, it kind of lets others, like the other people around you, let them know a lot about you for some reason. I don't know what it is. It's not that you want to be stereotypical or just criticizing everybody, but if you have a disheveled look and missing parts of patches in your hair, it says a lot. But if you have a full-grown mane, like dreadlocks in your head, that also says a bunch about you. Who respects the lion with a disheveled man, like I said.
Yeah, and that's how it's been in history, though, people wear their hair in all kinds of styles. Like, you got some people who are older in age and they just want to hold on to that one patch of hair left they got on their hair, and we look at it and say, hey, Uncle so-and-so, why don't you just let that go? But for them, that's still me holding on to what I had. And if they feel good with it and they feel good about it, we should feel good for them and say, hey.
I was about to say, that's the beauty of it. Because if you only have one dread left, you can still twist that one up, keep it done.
You could twist that one up or curl that patch up or whatever you do.
There's no such thing as this is pretty. Pretty, or this is ugly. It's not that you can't associate that with dreadlocks.
Right, and not only with dreads, but I'm talking about people with all types of hair. Oh, yeah. Because you have men and women who feel a certain social stigma about themselves, because they're losing hair. Like, I mentioned before the Jada Pinkett story that caused everybody to look at alopecia and people who are losing hair from hormonal, from age, from a lot of people feel different ways. A lot of older women, feel a certain way because we get our hair thinned out from hormones and aging, and we look in the mirror and can't style our hair like we used to, so we go reach out for, to a dermatologist sometime or to a stylist like you and figure out what we can do to get our hair back to a growth level where we're comfortable with, that makes us feel good about ourselves.
And that was the void that we seen that needed to be filled. There was like no dedicated establishment in my area. There was like no dedicated establishment for the dreadlock community. So like, why not try go out on a limb and do it? The only reason why we don't know or have the information to know if it'll work, will we be able to still stay in business, is because nobody tried and we ain't tried. So that's always a green light for me.
Right. So when being that you have to do these locks, what did you feel when you realized that making these locks, was working and your business was growing, and now, you get ready to come into this business? How did you go about coming from in your house to now, how do I want to venture out into my own business?
So truthfully, as I've said to many people, and I say it all the time, it feels like a dream come true.
Right. But how did that dream come true? Did you just go out and say, I need a place, or ask, I know you helped a lot in that process.
So the way we acquired the shop is we were working out the house, but we realized the traffic was just too much and a little bit unsafe with having two children inside of the house.
I can see what,
So something told me to hop on Facebook and Marketplace and try to figure out if somebody got a place for sale.
Right.
So
Smart thinking.
I went on Facebook Marketplace, and right away a barbershop popped up for sale.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh.
Hey, I found the spot.
I'm like, wait, I think I found the spot. We need to go today. We need to go right now. Like, it's on Broad Street.
Right.
We ain't getting in there if we don't go by this place. We need to go right now.
Right.
So we went down there. We spoke to the people that owned the place. We didn't really speak to the landlord that same day. We just spoke to the people that owned the place.
Right.
And they was like, listen, if you want to buy it today, come. Go.
Oh, they were selling it the same day.
Yeah, it was
come
for sale.
Bring your money and come get the place, and you could start the next month.
They had it for sale for a while too. That's the crazy thing about it. It was like, man, how did it survive that long? Like,
so it was sitting there waiting for you.
It was waiting for it. Yeah. Looked up, thankfully.
And it was so small, it fit me. I walked inside. It had bricks on the wall. I'm from New York City. I was just like.
Thankfully, she, she one of the people that answered the door every time,
Right.
Every time opportunity, she answered it, and this is like one of them prime moments.
Right. And so you got into that place, and I'm hearing Lee, her with the products and doing the hair, you fixed the inside of, because I understand it needed a little tender loving care.
We didn't have
in there.
no floors. We didn't have no walls. We didn't have the bathroom looked atrocious.
And that's how I knew this is it. This is what this spot is for us.
Right. We built it every day.
That was the reason why I guess, that they wanted to get rid of it. Probably feel as though
it was a lot of work that needed to be done.
A lot of work that needed to be done. And
right. Well, since I've been coming there to get my, locks treated and give some love to my locks, it's been changing every time I come in there, and I'm seeing the progression. I'm really happy for you guys, and I see the growth in it. And I just like the fact that I bumped into you when you first started. I talked about the podcast, and I said, hey, I need to bring you on the podcast. But after you set that up, I noticed that now you got people that work there with you. So you see how that goes? You open up a business. If she didn't step out or they didn't step out on faith and say, let's go see this place and let me take a shot at making some locks or doing hair from home. If she didn't take that step, because a lot of us are afraid to take that step for failure reasons. But if we don't never take that step, we don't never learn from our failure, so we can finally get to the success or the goal that we want to get. And I really love the way you do locks and everything that you do in your shop, the styles. I mean, I've seen styles in your shop that I have not seen anywhere else.
Thank you.
And it took me a very long time to decide to get locks in my hair, because I work sort of like in a corporation, and you don't know how people are going to feel with you at work. But one thing I'm noticing is that a lot of people, in particular women, I walk around, see a lot of natural hairstyles now. A lot of people are moving away from it, and I don't knock people who don't, but one thing you got to be careful with right now is the cancer that's going on right now.
And another thing is it's more convenient and it's less stressful.
Well, I'm not going to say what's more convenient or not for people who want to do their hair, because they might look at you and say, hey, well, this is what how you going to tell me what's convenient for me? I put the creamy crack in my hair and it come out slick and I'm happy. But what I'm saying is that what I know is that we as a people, black hair period, spend over billions of dollars of money on product.
It's $1 billion industry.
Yeah, and what has happened now in today's time is that people are monopolizing off of it now, and they're creating products. That's why you have thousands of products now where women go and they buy this. If it don't work, they'll try this, they'll try that. You have 1,000 products in your home, and you don't realize some of these people don't even care about what they put in these products. They have dangerous chemicals in the products. They the perms have been shown to give women breast cancer, uterine cancer. Why? Because it's just like what I said. Your hair is a living organ on top of your head. It's attached to a bulb in your head that's attached to vessels that go to your bloodstream. And when it goes to your bloodstream, your heart pumps that blood throughout your body with that poison that came from you putting it on your head that went through the pores of your head. And now you have these illnesses or these side effects from it that are grave. And so our hair is very important. We got to start reading ingredients on the back of our hair products like we do, on the food products now. And I also give a shout out to a lot of people like Zee and some of the other young women out there that's making their own product. I just recently started making my own deodorant the last 3 months ago. And guess what? I don't have to ever buy deodorant again, because guess what? I found a combination that works, and I don't ever need to buy deodorant. I make it with 4 different ingredients, natural ingredients that I can eat, that works, and I never have a problem.
And it's crazy you mention that, because before we purchased the spot, followed the lead with the dreads. He was making soaps and natural care products.
Yes, you see?
That was like that was like 2 stages, I think, before this. It was like
we was making face masks.
Let's try it.
It was a lot.
Right.
Because I couldn't really risk going out to do the work I was doing. I believe you was pregnant then, right?
Yeah, I was.
So I didn't want to risk getting them pregnant.
Right.
Excuse me. I said
you didn't risk her because she was pregnant.
Yeah, I didn't want to risk getting her or my son sick. So
right.
It was more so like, all right, if this is the time where I may have to not sit back, but kind of sit down, and it's like nothing I can do. Right. I'm gonna just kind of follow each lead, or anytime I feel as though opportunity knocks for me or my wife. Right. Let's do it. Let's try it. The only way we ain't gonna know is if we don't go.
And I think I appreciate that, because what it does is you opened up a business to allow people, like you said, a safe space. Yes. So that they can come in and get what they need for their natural hair, treatment. Like me, it was a very, sensitive time for me to decide to say, hey, this is it. I'm going to lock. This is what I'm doing. And I want to go someplace where people care about my hair, not just style or whatever, that I can go and feel good about myself, what I'm doing, and being taken care of in a good way. So I appreciate the environment that you create there. But I also know, even to be a young woman in the shop, I know that you experience certain people, because now, we open up shops, and sometimes we experience people that come in and they don't have good intentions. They see a beautiful young lady, that's doing locks, and they, hey, I want you to do my locks, and could I get your number after, and maybe we can have some dinner too. You have to deal with that. And I'm so sorry that you have to deal with that, but this comes with, opening up these businesses. You have to be very careful about clientele, just like real estate agents. it's unfortunate, but sometimes when you open up, a business in a certain environments, you have to have certain protective measures there, and that's why on your page, if you go on the Megalodon website, you will see when you book your appointments, you'll have, are you a female, or what's your gender identity, and all these things, because it breaks down who am I servicing. And who's going to service who for the matter of protection, so you could come and get respected while you're there yourself, and then you can get the respect that you deserve as the servicer. And how has that been going for you?
Oh, I love it. I'm so peaceful. Like honestly, if you know something's bothering you, set those boundaries and don't look back.
Right.
Because people were taking advantage of me doing hair for their own personal things,
right?
And honestly, it was taken away from what I'm trying to do here,
right?
Like, it would be points where sometimes I'd probably be like, I don't know if I want to go there today,
right?
I don't feel like going through none of this today, and it would take away from my energy, my excitement of going into my own place. Like,
right.
This is my place.
Right.
There's no reason why I should feel uncomfortable in my own establishment. So I made the choice to just service only males under 16 years old and women, and those of the LGBTQ, queer, non-binary community.
Right. And give everybody a safe space.
Those who respect my work.
Those who respect your work. And then for the men, we have Kobe and, other stylists there that does an amazing job for your hair as well, And so that's what I really like about it. And I feel very safe when I come there to get my hair done. I feel really good about the styling of my hair when I go to work. I get compliments, on my hair, and it's just very important. And while we talking about that, I want to show y'all a little video that I created of some of your work at the shop, so y'all can get ready to either get your starter locks or get your lock extensions, or just get ready to lock it up, because it's a beautiful thing, y'all. Let's look at this video. Megalodon Locs Beauty. I'm talking about some beautiful, skill up in here. In the parts. Okay, for those of you who are in love with the parts, baby, this is where you need to come and get your locks. So let me ask you, what would you say to somebody that is thinking of going on the lock journey? What is some of the advice you would give to them?
One, I don't know what you're waiting for. That's the first thing. There's so much freedom involved with having locks, no matter the stage that you start at. It's like insane. Like, I was able to stop my car from getting towed because I didn't have to go look for a wig before I ran outside.
Wow.
Like, no, seriously. It's stuff like that. Like, I don't have to go and search for my hair. It would actually stress me out before when I had to go find my wig before I left out my house because...
Right.
Like, why am I looking for this? It felt like a hat that I was looking for. It was stressful.
Right.
Then I had to be nervous if a piece of wind come that is going to take the whole thing off.
Right.
Now I'm chasing my hair down the street. It's a lot to it.
Right.
So,
it is a lot to it. And I can't lie. My daughter been locking for years, and I was supposed to lock when she locked, and I kept telling her over the years that I was going to, but I was always had natural hair for years. I would, always get the crochet braids, the braids, sometimes, I very rarely I would weave it, but I would braid my hair under it, because they call those protective styles. But I realized those were not protective styles really, because my hair wasn't growing. And my hair was not protected because when I braided my hair down and you take those hair and pull it through your braided down hair, to put the knot, to put your, the crochet in, it's ripping your hair out from the roots as you pull that hair in your hair, through your hair, through your braids. And I was wondering why, even my granddaughter, we would keep our hair in and not bother it. That's the whole point of getting these protective styles. And then when I would take it out, I'm like, why is my hair shorter than it was before I put this stuff in there?
What I can say to everybody, like that, it don't matter if you're doing locks, it don't matter if you trying to grow your hair naturally, just as long as you're trying to grow your hair naturally, you're doing it. And embrace it. It doesn't matter what nobody else says or thinks about what you look like. Truthfully, what's really important is your personality and how you carry yourself and how you treat people and how you treat yourself and everyone else around you.
Right.
Your hair is just an addition. So embrace yourself and allow it to grow while not caring about what other people say. Because one day your hair will get there.
Yeah, and that experience is real because the first time that I ever wore my natural hair out without because I was getting tired of the crochet braids and all that stuff, I felt so exposed when I walked out the door. I mean, all day long, I did a little like a wash and go, and it had these little tight curls, and then I put a band around it and just had a little fro, like with a little natural curl. And I felt so vulnerable. I felt so different. Like, I didn't know. It was so weird how I felt. And then to top that off, I had the nerve to have some co-workers that came to me and said, oh, you got nice hair, but I like your hair better straight.
Everybody needs to stop just caring what other people think. Honestly, that's the problem. I don't see
other people's judgment.
But the whole point.
And I'm not just saying that because I got hair on my head. I'm saying that because I came from a bald head. I literally did not care what nobody. And truthfully, I didn't care because your hair literally brings certain people around you. And it's weird because after I shaved my head off, I was being introduced to like way more important people in life that had like businesses and maybe wanted me to model, do this different stuff. Right. That I probably wouldn't have gotten asked to do when my hair was like in a wig or braids or in locks. Or it's just different ways you carry your hair. It'll bring different people to you. So your hair is expressive of who you are, so just embrace it the way it is.
Absolutely, it is, but you have to love who you are. And I think at that point in time, maybe I didn't really love who I was. I wasn't sure about it because I never embraced my hair, from being a young adult, a teenager into a young adult. I didn't realize that I had covered my hair with perms and crochet and braids and stuff. I didn't even realize what my real hair looked like anymore. And
I think a big part of it too, like what you're saying, is other, like the people that are around you. You definitely need to have supportive people, like people that are not going to tell you like, oh, bad, derogatory terms, say things to you that's just clearly hurtful. You need to X those people out and get them away from anyways, because
understand this is that some people will just be cruel about it. But I think a lot of people that approached me, and because there's a lot of cultures in this country, they don't even realize that they're saying something offensive.
That's true.
I'm not going to say that everybody, that the people that came to me and say, oh, I like your hair better straight, they thought it was a compliment. Yeah. But in their mind, it was a whitewashment in their brain of viewing kinky hair as not beautiful. You know, and I'm glad I was at that point to understand that during the time, or I would have got very upset with them. Yes. And probably had an argument with them, thinking, you know, like, you know, so a lot of people are ignorant to the fact that they were brainwashed that, you know, things that are dark or things that are kinky or whatever are not beautiful. But I started embracing myself and started going places now where people come up to me be like, oh, I love your hair. Your hair looks beautiful. You know, I like it looks beautiful and smooth. You know, how long you been doing that? I'm to get mine done. You know, I have a unique. We have a unique type of hair. Right. You know, even in the church where, you know, when I used to be down south, you know, people used to always say, oh, why don't you just press your hair out and curl it? And I used to say a little joke about it and to say, well, Jesus had hair like lamb's wool, you know, and we the only people that got hair like lamb's wool, so why are we ashamed of it? If he had it, why you scared to have it? You know, and people used to be like, woo, you know, I never even thought about that. But the whole point is that all hair is beautiful, but black hair is unique. Yes. And black hair is the only people that have that type of hair are people of African descent. You know, and I think it's a special hair. And I think, you know, not that everybody else is not special, don't get me wrong, but in particular because there's been so much negative stigma on the thicker, kinkier hair, you know, I think it's a beautiful thing because there are so many styles, so many statements with the hair, so many different meanings to the hair for spiritual reasons, to, you know, for tribal reasons. And I mean, black hair can do so many things. So I would encourage people to, you know, not be discouraged, you know, if you're thinking about taking the natural hair journey, and it's about self-love. It's like the young lady said in the video earlier. She said she used to wear her hair was too big. She felt that was too big, and she began to embrace it because she realized that's who she was, you know, and to love her hair was to begin to love who she is. Right. Yes. I don't believe that God made any mistakes. I don't believe that I was created with a mistake, you know, that's not good, you know, in my body or on my body. Only thing that could be no good is what we mess up ourselves as humans. But the black hair experience is a whole history and beauty of itself that I feel like, you know, I feel good about because more and more people are embracing it. We have fought more and more so that we can wear our hairstyles and be professional looking while we're wearing it, you know, and looking good in the natural form that we were created and that we were born to be. So I like that. I'm so happy I was, you know, a little decisive at first, but now I wake up in the morning and I love it. I love it. And in all actuality, if you braid your hair up, I don't know if your hair anything like mine, when I used to take the braids out, it was locking anyway. Like if you keep your hair in, it'll just start matting together, and then you have to comb it out, you know, and before you wash it and get it out. So my hair now is just doing what it naturally wants to do. My hair wants to lock. It's curly. It wants to mat together. It wants to marry together. And it's a beautiful thing watching my hair grow and do what it wants to do and not what I want to do to it, to manipulate it to please other people or someone else. So I feel good about how my hair is comfortable locking with itself and creating its look and its natural effect, you know, and I thank you for that. So when do you have situations like that at the shop where people are unsure about what they want to do with their hair? Because I know people might not be sure what they want, so maybe they get faux locks or whatever, or something like that. Can they give a test run on it before they decide to go all the way?
Okay, so sometimes yes, they could do a test run by doing invisible locks. But some people go all the way straight into the extensions, and it's a culture shock. Okay. And
I can imagine.
Yeah, they be freaking out.
Oh yeah. So do they want to change their mind afterwards, or they, you know?
They like, Zee, can you comb it out? I'm not ready for it yet.
Wow. I'm so glad I asked you that. Wow. And can you comb it out?
I can take the extensions out. Or I can take instant locks out, yes.
Wow. Okay, so people do give it a go, and they you know, maybe they feel it looks too, you know, natural for them, or they didn't know it would look the way it's going to look.
I think it's just abrupt. I think that, you know how you had time to nurture yourself into realizing, like, oh, shoot, like, my hair is locking? Right. I think some people go from the braids, weaves, wigs, stuff like that, and then they go straight into lock extensions, and it's just like... Right. Who is this? You know,
right.
So...
Well, I think there need to be more conversation about, natural hair and, more encouragement for people who need help growing back their hair, or maybe other hair accessories that we have to give them the look that they want to have so that they can feel good about themselves, because hair really does affect us socially and mentally. People lose their hair all the time from sicknesses, cancer, lupus, and they walk around, they don't feel good that their hair is gone. And it really affects people. People get depressed about it. People are very self-conscious about it. Sometimes people come, out their house and the hair didn't curl right the way they wanted to. Be like, today is a bad hair day because they just wouldn't do what I wanted to do, and they don't feel good about it. So they get home as quick as they can and fix it so they won't have to come out like that no more. And then you got some people like, hey, my hair doing what it want to do. Yeah. It look crazy, but I like it. That's his personality for day. It's crazy. So do you have any plans for the future to do any like tutorials or do I know you had a video on your page? What's the plans for you and your work and for Megalodon Locs and Beauty, as y'all progress into, your business is growing,
Yes. Well, okay, so my plan is to obviously make sure this one is up and running well,
right,
and that I provide a safe, decent, clean, quiet, because sometimes people don't know what's good for them, and they don't understand that you should appreciate a quiet place that you can actually hear your thoughts in.
Yeah.
Like some people don't realize they need a break until they fall asleep in the chair and they're like, wow, it was the best sleep like I had in a long time.
Yeah.
So my plan is to keep creating environments just like that, but just in different areas. What do you see?
I love it. What do you see?
My goals for the future, Megalodon Locs, is to, one, kind of expand, probably more shops, different locations. And also, I don't know if Zee, if she's probably still is up to it, but she used to be talking about in the past of giving classes for either the making the soaps, because we used to do that also.
Oh, well, I love that too.
I forgot about that.
So it's like maybe give out little classes, teaching people how to make soaps or
how to take care of their hair.
It's like a lot of information out there. If it's a $1 billion industry, you just got to imagine the amounts of information out there. And it'd be very valuable for people who have locks.
Right.
We want to keep finding good stylists too. Like that's important for us. We like to take our time finding.
Like we found one so far.
Right.
I respect that man. I appreciate him too also.
Right.
But we just trying to find. I kind of think he found us. Remember we was talking about that yesterday?
Yeah.
We look for the person that's like, yo, you're going to keep finding yourself the one losing. But it's that always
sometimes
that one
when people
person
find
come
you that want to
nowhere.
be there.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I noticed since I started this podcast, if you want to do anything in this life and you have a goal to do, I'm not even going to say a dream or passion because I learned it, but a goal too, you have to step out and start it. Yeah. The people that you are looking for that's going to be there to collaborate with you or to walk with you into your success, they're not going to come until you take that step forward to make it happen.
And you got to be also open and willing to, like, for one, always providing a place for, if maybe it's another person out there in the industry who may need a place to work at.
Right.
We want them to provide a place like that for that person.
True.
You know what I mean? It's like not everything going to be 100% benefiting us, because if that's how you think in business, you're going to fail.
Sometimes you sacrifice a lot when you first start a business. So if people want to come and get a consultation, because you need to get a consultation before you do any type of lock-in.
No, you don't.
No?
I'm sorry, but I don't want to deter anybody away.
Right.
You don't need a consultation, and if you do think you need one, you can easily do it through Zoom.
Okay.
Set an appointment. That's probably.
You can walk in. I'm at 1106 Broad Street in Newark, New Jersey, 07114. You can walk in, or you can go online to schedule an appointment. Okay.
And we are welcome and open to serving all communities.
Yes. Islamic community, we do have a private area
because it's cool
for
to
you.
Do it, we actually accept.
Well, as
community.
you can see.
Accept all communities.
So yes, the Islamic community for women and particularly, I do have a private place where you will be able to be sheltered to get your hair done, so your hair is not exposed to the male community.
I love that. So people, you need to come and check out Megalodon Locs and Beauty on Broad Street in Newark, New Jersey. It was a great selection for me. My locks are doing very well, if you can see them. You know, it started from babies. I started from the beginning because it was a spiritual thing for me. I wanted to see them grow, you know, and I'm so glad I came to Megalodon. So is there any last thing you guys want to say before we hit the time and be out on the show today?
Thank you for this opportunity.
Yes, thank you for your time today.
Yes. Actually, being the person that's breaking the ice for me of being on a camera, on a microphone, and
well, you did very well. Give them a round of applause because you did very well today. Businessman and woman. Young black businessman and woman. Do y'all hear me? It can be done. This is the
It's very much
inspiration
so
right
possible.
here.
Anything is possible. You don't need to have it all in order. Just get started and keep going.
And it's the kind of person that's going to always survive. It's because I'm actually talking about.
Well,
He's talking about you.
I'm talking about you because she's actually providing a platform for thousands and soon to be millions of people to voice it. And she's not doing it because, they said that you can make this much in this industry. She's doing it because this is actually a passion for her.
Yeah, this is a passion for me, definitely. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Another round of applause to them. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all, and I appreciate you, my listeners. I have some very avid listeners, and I just want to give a special thank you right now to Pam Lewis and Pam Hafer from Connect Us Youth organization up in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Another thank you to Maisha McDonald, Jamel Thigpen, Latoya Nesbitt, you know, all the people who have supported. Karen Williams, support to her too. And I know I got some other names I'm going to definitely shout you out on the next show. But thank you so much for helping me kick off this year, supporting me financially, you know, so that I can bring on more people to this show and continue to show you some of the great people and the great services and things that's going on in our community. We're going to have a great year this year. I got a nice lineup of people that's doing different things from New York to New Jersey to Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, and they're going to come on and talk about what they're doing. So I really appreciate you all tuning in. If you want to support Community Vibes with BrownEyes, you can Cash App us at Brown Vibes. That's BrownVibes. That's our Cash App, $ Brown Vibes. Anything that you give would be great to help continue these shows from going on and us going to activities to meet new people in the community. And I just want to say today that this show was produced by myself, BrownEyes, and also my engineer. I want to give a shout out to him, Bravery Studios, Marvin, who always makes me look good, sound good, and for my videographer, Shalik at the Beat Shop, and my musician and producer, King T Finesse. And with that, I want to thank y'all once again for tuning in. Don't be ashamed of your hair. Embrace yourself. Love who you are naturally, because naturally you are beautiful. And we're going to end this show today with a song I wrote called Calling, because we all need to answer our calling so we could get a peace and blessing in this life, written by me and produced by King T Finesse. Thank you for tuning in. See you next time.
When you answer your calling, you can be free. Just live your purpose and your dream. When you answer your calling, in your sunrise, take a chance for yourself to reach high heights. So many with dreams on their mind, left it behind. Time to rewind back up to the days when you felt your passion. Put it into play, put it to action. We won't play with time. I know it ain't mine. You'll get left behind. So take a little step and work it, work it. Pause on fear, cause nothing's perfect. Persevere, believe me, it's worth it. Sitting on your dream, it's time to birth it.